Hey guys, welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host as always, Harry Wilmington, and today marks the start of our 25 days of introvert dating advice. And so this is December 1st. So for the next 25 days, I'll be putting out a show / video / podcast a day for 25 days straight, answering your questions and going over other various dating things that I think will be informative for you in your dating journey, okay? And so today's situation, we're actually going to be doing a text analysis. So there's a guy that's been doing online dating, and he sent me a text that he sent recently to a woman on a dating app that he's trying to get connected with, okay? And so his problem has been that he has been trying to build up courage with the women that he does match with on dating apps. And by the time he's able to match up the courage to try to ask for a date, at that point, they've lost interest, okay? And so this really talks to what I've talked to you guys about before, which is that women on dating apps are on there to date, okay? And they're really not on there to try to have digital pen pals. And so we're going to go over what this guy did that could have caused this woman to potentially be turned off before he even got a chance to ask for a date, okay? If you'd like one of your texts, by the way, analyzed on one of these shows, you can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com, send me a message with a picture of the text in question, and I will happily analyze it on one of these shows, okay? Also, guys, feel free to go to the website now to get a free copy of my ebook and now audiobook, No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams. You can get it for free by signing up for my video newsletter at just fill in your name and email address at HarryWilmington@gmail.com on the first page, and you will have instant access to the audiobook and ebook version of that book, all right? Also, guys, if you want to show your support for the show, two ways to do it. One, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/HarryWilmington. I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers, so that definitely helps out. And also, if you like the advice that you've given here and want to support monetarily, I have a Cash App now. It's $ Harry Wilmington. That's $ Harry Wilmington. Any amount is appreciated. If you want to just thank me for helping you out with this stuff and figuring out your dating life, then you can support that way, okay? So with that said, let's go over today's question. So this guy writes me, says, hello, I've been following your podcast for a little bit, and I have a major question I don't think has been covered yet. A little bit of background, I'm 47. I was in a relationship for 2.5 years and live in a small town in Wisconsin, probably about a half hour from Green Bay. My biggest issue is trying to find somebody and get enough courage to talk to them in person. By the time I get that courage, they have left. I don't go out to bars much because I have not drunk in 3 years. The whole online thing has yielded me zero success. I can't even get a conversation with any of these women. I am just in a bad spot with even trying to have any connections. He says, my online stuff keeps running into this. Had this happen 5 or 6 times in the past 2 years. And so I'll go over that in a minute. And then he says, I don't know how much more of a beating I can take. So understand that online dating, it's not that it's the hardest thing to do, because it's really, really not. But there is a method to the madness. And I go over that extensively in my course, Smart Digital Dating. It goes through all the ins and outs of how to set up your profile, what kind of pictures to take, the ins and outs of messaging, and how to actually ask for the date, okay? But a major problem that a lot of guys have on these dating apps is that they think that the best way to get a woman attracted to them and willing to go on a date with them is to constantly message them as a means of trying to build rapport. So, he starts off where you send a message based on something on her profile, and then you get into a conversation, and you're thinking, okay, great, I'm in a conversation. The problem is a lot of guys equate being in conversation with a woman as automatically dating them, meaning that they start to do things like try to send and demand good morning text and, good evening text. And they're trying to text them throughout the course of the day. Well, what did you do today? Well, how'd you do in your day today? Well, tell me about your life and blah, blah, blah. And so some of these things are conversations that would go well in person, but on a dating app, they can just seem very dull and boring. And you got to understand, for most men, even with my program, as great as it is, and you'll definitely be able to increase the results that you get, but the number of matches you're going to get are always going to pale in comparison to the matches that women get. So, whereas you might be happy with the fact that you got 10 matches this week, that woman signed up for a dating app and probably got 100 matches on day 1. And that's not including probably the 70 or 80 messages that she also got on day 1. So now think of like a woman getting 70 messages, all of them asking, how was your day? What are you up to? Tell me about your holiday, etc., etc. 70 guys are going to probably send her the same messages over and over again. So if you're guy number 70 she's had 69 other guys asking her how her day was, what your work schedule was like, yada, 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 you are not going to seem interesting. You're going to be very dull, boring, and more importantly, monotonous because she's received the same message over and over again, okay? So let's see what message this guy sent to her that, she wasn't interested, okay? So here's the example message text that he sent. So I guess they've been talking prior about, Christmas stuff or whatever. So, and by the way, for those of you that are listening to this podcast, I'm going to be putting the text up on screen as well for the YouTube video. So anyway, so he says, get anything good? How busy were the stores? And then she says, I didn't start until noon. I got home at 8. It wasn't that busy. I had most of my shopping done already. So then he says, okay, I make it a habit of going nowhere near the stores today. I had a relaxing day at work. You just about done Christmas shopping? Then she says, I wanted to run a few places, mostly bought things I didn't need. Yes, pretty much done now. And then he says, isn't that what Christmas shopping usually is? I'm about 5% done. Then he says, well, sleep tight. Let me know if you want to chat more. So up to this point, like I said, the conversation is it's an average conversation. But this is an example. This is a conversation that if you were on a date with her and asked these kind of questions, it will come across better because it's a full-on conversation. It's not waiting to get a text back from somebody. And you can use these various things that she's saying to go into other types of conversations. But on text, this is going to read as a very boring conversation. On top of, at the end, he's saying, let me know if you want to chat more. So now it looks like he's trying to beg for her attention and beg for a conversation, which she admittedly is not very much engaged in. You'll notice she's not asking him any questions back. It's very much a one-sided conversation where he's talking to her. She responds, he responds back to her, then asks her another question. She responds, he responds back a couple of times and then asks her another question. And this is already indicative of a woman that's not fully engaged, but also a woman that's very, very bored with this kind of conversation. Because again, if she's matching with all these various guys on these dating apps, she's having this same conversation time and time again, and it doesn't make you stand out. So then it goes into the next day. So at 3:37, he texts her and says, good afternoon. How are you doing? And it takes her all the way until 7:02 to say, I just want to be honest and let you know that I don't think we'd have a connection. I wish you the best. And then he says, can I ask why? And that's the end of the conversation. So, like I said, this is a very dull and boring conversation, but the only thing I don't know in this particular situation is how long they've been texting each other. But he said himself that it could take him a long time to be texting a woman, and by the time he gets to where he wants to ask her out, they've lost interest, okay? And so what can happen is that we guys have a hard enough time matching on these apps as it is. So at the point where we actually do get a match or two, you start to worry so much about not wanting to scare this woman away that you think to yourself, okay, in order to not scare her away, what do I need to do? Well, if I have multiple conversations with her and I have daily conversations with her where I'm getting to know her and I'm telling her about myself and about my day and she's able to do the same, then we'll build enough rapport over, 7 or 8 or 9 days of messaging where she'll feel definitely comfortable with me and she'll already feel like she's starting to build a connection, at which point, then it'll be totally fine to ask her out and then we can go out and we can have the same kind of good time in person that we had on the app because I've gotten to know a lot about her and we've had talks for these days and it'll be all great. But as I've said before on this show, oftentimes the things that we think should work in dating actually don't. And in fact, the entirety of my book, No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams, is basically about that, about how me going over why a lot of the things that I thought should work, such as complimenting, giving flowers, all this other stuff, was actually to my detriment. This is a perfect example of you're trying to do something that sounds logical, that you think should work to build a woman's attraction, and it's actually not gonna work out because women are not on dating apps to have digital pen pals. They're on there to be able to get a guy that's gonna wanna take them out on an actual date. That's why it's a dating app, not a textual conversation app, okay? So what I did to combat this, and what I suggest that you guys out there do that think you need to spend this long amount of time with a woman on a dating app to get her to go out, is this, okay? For your next, we'll say 3 matches. For your next 3 matches, okay? Most likely you're gonna send that first message. It'll be like hey, hi, what's up? You'll say something that's gonna be relating to something you saw on a profile, all right? And so after that first message, the next message you should send her is this. Hey, so I don't know about you, but I tend to find that I get to know people a lot better in person than just talking on an app. What say you and I set up a date? I'm free this Wednesday and Thursday. Let me know which one works best for you. And that's all you send. And then see what the next message she sends back is. Now, what I found when I first did this, actually, the first time I did this was actually, it was the day before Valentine's Day. And I didn't have a date, and I was tired of not having a Valentine's Day date. And I matched with a woman online, and I said like one thing to her in a message, and then she wrote me back. And then I said, hey, so I don't know about you, but like, I said the same thing. I don't know about you, but I find I get to know people much better in person. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and I'd love to go on a date. If you're free to do that, let me know, and I'll set something up. And the response she gave me was, sure, I'm free, let's go out. Now, did that date end up resulting in us going out long term? No. And at that time in my life, I didn't have a car, didn't really have a job. I took her to like Chipotle for a date. So it wasn't the best of dates. But the point is, that lesson taught me that it doesn't take me 9 or 10 days of constant messaging to get a girl to agree to a date. Because in future iterations of that same thing, where I sent that message, hey, let's go ahead and set up a date, I was able to get same day dates and or get dates that were like within 2 to 3 days that resulted in a hookup, resulted in a relatively decent long-term relationship. And it's because at the end of the day, as good as these dating apps are, nothing is going to ever beat getting to know a person in person, where you can talk to them, where they can smell you, you can smell them, you can, they can see hear your vocal inflections and see your facial expressions when you're saying certain things. And a conversation that you might have online that's boring might just be part of the getting to know process. And if all the other feel goods are there and the other senses are being used, then it goes beyond just the words you're saying, but how you're saying them. You can have the same conversation in a tone that's like a little bit slowed down, maybe with a lower voice, and it could all the way turn her on versus just reading text with periods and emojis and exclamation points that don't really translate as well emotion-wise to the experience of experiencing it in person, okay? But try that. For the next 3 people that you match with on these dating apps, just try after that first message saying if, hey, you can set them up on a date, saying, hey, I don't know about you, but I get to know people better in person, so let's go out. I'm free Tuesday or Wednesday. Let me know which one works best for you, and I'll plan this. And at that point, that's when you set up the date. You plan where you're going to take her. You plan, I always recommend food places are good that don't cost a lot of money. Coffee shops are also good. A nice walk somewhere. I mean, you can do that kind of thing too in the park or whatever. But yeah, just try setting up a date on that second message, because right now you're in your head about you got to make things so perfect and set up everything to be able to get her to agree to it. And most women, if they're on a dating app, it's because they're already agreeing that they want a date. They're on there in part because it's hard for them to get dates and they want a guy to just come along and take them out. And it doesn't take a whole lot of messages to set that up. Now, with all that said, obviously, there are other things you want to do in the terms of the dating app realm of things to really set yourself up for success, whether it's your pictures, whether it's your bio, whether it's sending messages, whether it's understanding the experience that women have on dating apps so you know how to stand out from the rest of the pack. And that's the kind of stuff that I go into in my program, Smart Digital Dating, which you can see at the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. Right now, it's on discount sale for the holidays. So this is definitely a good time to check that program out and really get your dating app game up, so that way you can go on these apps and know how to have certain kinds of conversations, know the right openers that women like, know the kind of messages to send that's going to actually build attraction, flirty conversations you can have that aren't too, sexual in nature, but will let her know that you're the kind of guy that's not afraid of his sexual prowess and that she can actually have a good time with, and how to actually ask for dates, all right? All this stuff is in the program. You can learn more about it at introvertdatingsuccess.com/products. Also, go to the website now to get a free copy of my ebook, No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams. This book will really help you figure out what not to do so you can start doing the right stuff. And you can get that for free simply by signing up for my video newsletter with your name and email address on the front page of introvertdatingsuccess.com. All right? So hopefully this helps you out, guys. If you want to support the show, subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/HarryWilmington. Leave a comment down below for that video as well. You can also send me a Cash App at $HarryWilmington. And hey, if you listen to this on Apple or Spotify or wherever, leave a 5-star review telling people why you like this program so much, because that definitely helps this show get found as well. And so yeah, that's all I got for today. Like I said, I'm doing this video/show a day for the next 25 days up until December 25th. So I will check with you guys tomorrow for another episode of this show. If you want one of your questions answered on one of these shows, write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next show. Peace.